Have you ever noticed how one tiny inconvenience can completely change how you feel for the rest of the day? You wake up 10 minutes late, you spill a drink, you check your phone, and you see someone else announcing the job you wanted, the relationship you wish you had, or the life you feel like you're falling behind in. Maybe you feel weak during the workout at your gym. Maybe the number on the weighing scale doesn't move. Or maybe you spent weeks making something you're proud of only for almost nobody to notice or care. None of those things are life-changing, and yet somehow they have the power to decide what kind of day you're going to have. What's strange is that we rarely question it. We just accept that if enough things go wrong, then of course we're going to be frustrated. Of course we're going to be impatient and we're going to shut down. But what if we've quietly handed over far more control than we realize? What if every morning, before we've even had breakfast, we let the world decide who we're going to be? I've been thinking about that a lot lately. A few weeks ago, I read a small book called Fish. It's based on a fish market in Seattle, which, if I'm being honest, isn't exactly where I expected to find one of the most uncomfortable lessons I've learned this year. The first principle in the book is incredibly simple. Choose your attitude. When I first read it, I almost laughed. It sounded like one of those motivational phrases that looks nice on a poster, but it completely falls apart in real life. Life isn't that simple. Some days are genuinely difficult. You can't just wake up and decide to be happy, right? But the more that I sat with it, the more that I thought, the more that I realized the book wasn't asking me to fake happiness. It was asking me something much more uncomfortable. Why had I given my circumstances so much power over who I became? Because if I'm being honest, I've spent years waiting for life to tell me what kind of mood I'm allowed to be in. If work goes well, I'm more patient. If I get enough sleep, I'm kinder. If my plans work out, I become more optimistic for the future. Nothing about my character actually changed. The only thing that changed was what happened around me. And that made me wonder, if good circumstances can bring out the best version of me, why do I let bad circumstances bring out the worst? I don't think most of us wake up and consciously choose our attitude or mood for the day. I think we wait for life to choose it for us. We wake up and immediately start pointing out the evidence around us. Did I sleep well? What's the weather like? Did anyone text me? How productive do I feel today? Without realizing it, we're asking the world a question. Am I allowed to enjoy today? Sometimes the answer feels like yes. Sometimes it feels like no. And that's a dangerous way to live because life is so unpredictable. There will always be something that doesn't go according to plan. There will always be someone doing better than you. There's always another setback lurking just around the corner. If your attitude depends on your circumstances being perfect, you're building your happiness on something that was never designed to stay still. I start noticing this at work. There are days when emails never stop coming in. Someone's upset, a problem appears that wasn't there an hour ago, and before I know it, I've convinced myself that today's just one of those days. But here's what's interesting. On those days, I stop noticing everything that doesn't support that story. I don't notice my colleague who made me laugh. I don't notice the student who thanked me. I don't notice the problem that actually got solved. It's almost like my brain starts looking for proof that my mood was justified. And honestly, I think we all do this. Have you ever been in a bad mood and suddenly every little inconvenience feels 10 times bigger? Like someone walking too slowly in front of you or driving too slowly in front of you. You hit every red light. Your internet is slow. Individually, none of those things are life and death, but together they become evidence. See, today's another terrible day. The funny thing is, we've all had the opposite happen too. Have you ever gotten really good news in the morning? Suddenly, maybe the traffic doesn't quite bother you as much. People seem friendlier, you laugh more. The exact same commute feels different. The world didn't change. You did. And I think that's what this principle is trying to teach. It's not that life is easy. It's not that bad things don't matter. but that the version of yourself you bring into today doesn't have to be determined by what today hands you. That doesn't mean ignoring your emotions. If you're grieving, grieve. If you're overwhelmed, acknowledge it. If you're struggling, don't pretend you're okay just because someone told you to stay positive. That's not choosing your attitude. That's denying your reality. There's a difference. Choosing your attitude isn't about pretending life is perfect. It's about deciding that your circumstances don't get the final vote on your character. Because here's what scares me. I think a lot of us are accidentally postponing our lives, myself included. We keep saying stuff like, oh, I'll finally enjoy life after I graduate. I'll finally relax once I get the promotion. I'll finally be confident after I get a six-pack, or when things settle down, or after I lose the weight. I've said every one of those things. Maybe you have too. But every time we attach our happiness to the next milestone, we're quietly teaching ourselves that today isn't enough. Then one day you look back and you realize you've spent years waiting for your life to begin. I don't want that anymore. And I don't think you do either. Lately, before I start my day, I've been asking myself a different question. Not, how do I feel today? Because honestly, that answer changes all the time. And more often than not, I find myself sleepy, exhausted, and tired. Instead, I ask myself, who do I want to be today? Do I want to be patient, curious, kind, present? The beautiful thing about that question is it gives me something my circumstances never could, a choice. Some days I still fail. Actually, a lot of days. There are mornings where I still let one email, one negative customer ruin my mood. There are evenings where one disappointment follows me home longer than it should. I'm still learning, but now, at least I notice it. And sometimes that's where change begins, not necessarily with perfection, but with awareness. Maybe that's why this little book stuck with me so much. It wasn't about a fish market necessarily. It wasn't about attitude. It was about ownership. It reminded me that while I can't control what happens today, I can still choose the kind of person I want to be while it happens. Life will always throw something at you. Someone will disappoint you. Plans will change. Things won't go your way. That's part of being alive. But if every inconvenience gets to decide your mood, eventually it starts deciding your life. So maybe tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you look at your emails, before you let the world tell you how today is supposed to feel, ask yourself one question. Who do I want to be today? Because maybe the quality of your life isn't determined by how often things go your way. Maybe it's determined by how often you remember that your attitude was never supposed to belong to your circumstances in the first place. Thanks for watching Vardo, and I'll see you in the next video.